Laker fans, stand up. You finally have a podcast that represents you. Make sure you check out Lakers Reign podcast with yours truly, Nick Hamilton. Every week, we have the latest news on the purple and gold and what's going down on the court.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Proops.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Nate Boyer.
This is Hilliard Guest.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Rob Bell.
This is J.R. Robinson.
This is Dan Stone.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, I'm Mark Valley.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hi, guys. I'm Vinnie Tortorich, and here we are at the Break It Down Show.
And now, the Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero, Mark Valley, and Pete A. Turner.
Yeah, this is fantastic. We're at the world headquarters here, and I wanted to thank you for coming on. This is fantastic. We've been talking off mic about a bunch of things. You are a complex and busy guy, a writer, not just a fitness trainer, but like I would style you as a celebrity fitness trainer or a celebrity fitness trainer of celebrities even.
Right.
You do the thing with coffee and supplements and health in general, all those things.
Right.
Plus, you just told me you shoot all the time, and as a military guy, I love hearing about that. So we're going to talk about that.
Cool.
There's a zillion things to talk about. You guys who are going to look up Vinnie, you can grab his attention by looking him up on Twitter, and it's really simple. It's his name, Vinnie Tortorich. So it's VINNIE TORTORICH. And you can grab him there. Same thing for the website. It's pretty easy to get a hold of him. One of the things he has is a Fitness Confidential thing called NSNG lifestyle, and that's like a way of eating and other things.
Well, yeah, NSNG it came out of the term I use in the book. The book is Fitness Confidential, which kind of broke this to the world. And as you mentioned, I was a fitness trainer for 30-some-odd years, mostly working with celebrities in Hollywood. One of my clients said, hey, you need to write a book.
Right.
And I didn't want to write a book like every other fitness book because everyone puts just a book out there. So we literally wrote a book about my journey in fitness. You know, I have a degree in exercise physiology and from Tulane University and all this stuff. So I'm not your basic. Out here in Hollywood, we call them TAMs and WAMs.
Oh, okay.
TAMs are trainer-actor models, and WAMs are waiter-actor models.
Right.
So everybody's doing something until their life gets started. I was the only guy who was just a trainer.
Just a trainer.
Yeah, I wasn't an actor. It's just I didn't come out here to be something else. I came out here to do that. And when I wrote the book, I started seeing the term NSNG online, hashtag NSNG, and everyone's following this thing. And I went, oh, my God, that's my thing. That's from my book, No Sugars, No Grains, Fitness Confidential.
Right.
So I had to go and own that. So I actually own the trademark of No Sugars, No Grains and NSNG. And that was kind of the beginning of me, not becoming a trainer after 30-something years and actually, becoming a business owner of companies. And, we're sitting in a condo in Beverly Hills right now. This is owned by my business partner, Andy Schreiber. By the way, who would be a great guest on your show?
Let's do it.
You got to have Andy because
pre-booked.
Andy is actually way more dynamic about the stuff than I am.
Yeah.
He could talk about the company and how it works and everything. But once I started rolling with the book and the website was doing well and the podcast by the same name, Fitness Confidential Podcast, started
for
doing
sure.
well.
You guys check that out.
Then it's the ball started like rolling down the hill, and it was picking up speed as it went. And now we have Pure Vitamin Club that came out of NSNG Lifestyles.
Right.
We have VinnieTortorich.com, which is and by the way, everything at VinnieTortorich.com is free. There's a free PDF. Everything is free. You just go there and you can learn how to become healthy, get thin, lose hundreds of pounds. All for free. There's no clickbait. There's no, here's 2 seconds of it. Now you got to go buy it.
Right.
It's all free.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you about that. And then also let's make sure you also mention, you talked about the vitamins, but also the Pure Coffee Club too.
Yeah.
And I'm drinking the coffee now. And
You are.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
So, okay, let's let's slow down and start to break this whole thing down.
Okay.
As we do. So you got talked into writing a book. And this is a question that I want to ask you because I get told this all the time. Pete, you have to write a book. And
Right.
I just cannot wrap my head around what my book is going to be. Is it a how to fight war? Because my experience is different. There has to be a military aspect to all of these conflicts that we're in. But
Right.
at some point, you got to make sure that government is good. So what we'll do is we'll go, here's your help. I'm going to make you all. And they get like this, almost kind of like a trainer analogy where you're like, I'm going to make you huge. And the other guy's like, I just am trying to get over this problem I've got.
Right.
So we overtrain these guys. We just pound them. Meanwhile, no one in the community trusts them.
Right.
So you create a governor, and you're there for a year. You're in and out. That guy's got to withstand you for 6-8 months until you realize, I'm overdoing this. I'm wearing this guy out.
Yeah.
And we never build any trust. So I've got this book that I've got to try to write on whatever that story is, because it's such a different view of combat. Like, yes, you have to shoot bad people in the face, and often in the middle of the night. But everybody else around that village doesn't have to believe in the government that's there, And so we also oftentimes undermine our own success, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I wonder about our fighting boys.
Yes.
As they used to say in the old time movies. I saw that movie Hurt Locker, and the big takeaway was, the guy became comfortable being in a very uncomfortable situation.
Sure.
He was never comfortable being home.
Yeah.
And you go, wow. And I was able to internalize it just a little bit because, I played football, high school and college. And when you get on the field, and you're going into battle, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
and sure, there's an opportunity to break your neck. People have that happen. People leave the game paralyzed, never to walk again. And,
Sure.
But it's not like being shot at every day. It's not. It's 10% of what war is, right? War is every day you're being shot at, and potentially you're not going to just break your neck. You may come back maimed, burned half to death, and the whole thing. You have to deal with that tragedy, or you can die.
Yeah.
So every day could be your last day. And I used to think about this in football because before the game, you would whip yourself up into a fake frenzy. You had to hate the other team. You had to hate the opponent and be very smart about how you were going to beat that opponent. And in college, for us, in front of 80,000 other people.
Yeah.
So that was one component. You had to see red and be like an animal and do all this stuff, right? And then the buzzer would blow after the fourth quarter, and you would go out and you're sitting in a bar because football players go to bars after where all the chicks know you're going to be,
right?
Because that's your best opportunity to get laid.
Yes.
When you're a guy, that's what you do.
Yes.
It's why we all got into football on day one anyway. We were 9 playing Pop Warner. We didn't know what being laid was, but we knew one day I need to do this thing, so I better go learn how to catch the guy with the football and tackle him. But I would always sit there in a bar, with all this noise around us after the game, around society, and go, what just happened? Because I was in a blind rage an hour ago. And then I went back through a shoot. I took a shower. I got in the car, and I drove to this bar. And now I'm back in society. That's, like I said, that's 1%.
Yeah.
Of what war is. How do you guys come back? How do you walk? How do you get on a plane? You get a helicopter and then on a plane and then back to the United States, and you run into your buddy Larry, and Larry goes, hey, Pete, what's been going on?
Yeah.
Well, I blew a few gooks in the face last week. Nah, I'm good.
Yeah.
We don't call them gooks anymore, right?
No, we don't do that. We don't do that. Yeah. Actually, there's a lot of funny stories about that kind of. We were looking for our terms and everything. And in Iraq, the standard derogatory thing was to call them Haji, right? Because if you go to the Haji, you're a Haji. And so we would just call everybody Haj because we didn't know what else to call them. And so then the Army's like, whoa, hold on. We should have a different term. And I'm with a bunch of SEALs. And one of the guys goes, I've got a term. I'm going to call them monkey men motherfuckers. You're like, Hodge.
That one doesn't roll off the tongue as well as Hodge.
But it does make the Army guy go, Hodge is going to work fine.
Yeah.
Didn't want, and it's still derogatory. So, yeah, we still have our things that we did wrong. So one of the things that's different about combat now is it's not pitched and all the time and constant. It's this rubber band that gets stretched. This is where we really get messed up because you don't know if today's the day, if this is the step, when the ambush is going to happen, if it doesn't happen. So people just wait and wait and wait and wait and are constantly vigilant, waiting for this thing to happen.
Right.
That may never happen on the entire deployment. You know, like for a lot of the time I was there, a lot of it, there suicide and car accidents
Really?
were as likely, if not more likely, for someone to pass. Didn't mean that you weren't in peril. There's
Right.
a lot of things done to proactively reduce the threat, but you had to always be ready for it. And so that is also like, because I went out all the time. I mean, I've got a lot of combat missions, and you're waiting, and sometimes bullets do get shot at you. You know, they'll take a crack at you or whatever just to see what happens and see if you'll stop and fight. 'Cause a lot of times they try to bait you into fights. So you get into a quote-unquote firefight, and you just push through. Because
Really?
Yeah, because it's not sustainable to take that fight there because you don't control that message. You don't know who you're going to kill, and it gets to be really problematic. They're trying to create chaos. We're driving right through it, and that wears on you in a really rough way.
Well, that's the name of your book,
Yeah,
Driving Through Chaos.
driving through chaos.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. That might
if
be
you
it.
all right, so let's talk about that. So now I'm interviewing you on your show.
Let's do it.
You want to write a book, and you're always going, how do I start? Where do I start? What do I do? Start with the title, Driving Through Chaos.
Yeah.
And then tell that story. And you don't have to sit there and worry if it's the first chapter or the 15th chapter or where it's going to go.
Yeah.
All you have to do is write the notes down. Just write the beats down. You know,
Yeah.
talk about, look, this isn't that wasn't our fight, and they were trying to draw us into a fight. And, we called that Driving Through Chaos. And bam, there you are. You're off and writing.
Yeah, off and writing.
You know?
Yeah, and there's a thing that I do when I show up into these kind of places is I get there to where I'm going. Like, okay, this is the place where I'm going to work. And it may be in a region, like a state kind of thing. But when I get to that spot, I look down at the ground, and I see my boots, and I see the ground, and I go, okay, I'm really here. This, like, all of my priorities have to change, especially in Iraq when they were trying to snatch people up. You have to make a decision ahead of that. If I get into a situation where I've crossed a line, and that line you have to set in your head, I am now going to operate lethally. Because if I don't, I'm going to get grabbed.
Okay, chapter 2.
Right.
Boots on the ground.
Yeah.
And talk about those feelings.
Nice. I like
Should
it.
I write this book for you?
All right, yeah.
Can I just sit down and write it for you?
You need another thing
I've
to do.
never been in war. I've never shot at a human in my life. I shoot at a lot of paper.
Yeah.
But I would gladly sit down and write this book for you. Chapter 3.
Chapter 3. Then I was in the chow hall having delicious steak and cheese sandwiches. And you're like, no steak and cheese.
Steak and cheese, chapter 3. What's it like around, is it like I see in the movies where you guys are pumping iron, doing it like prison style?
Yeah, it's like Chino. Totally.
Yeah, like that?
Yeah. The gyms are really, really, really nice. But some places, they don't have the stuff set up like you're in a bunch of 20-foot-high cement walls.
Yeah.
With like a cargo net over the top, and there's dust on all the gear, and that's what you're throwing. You're just throwing steel or iron around, and I'm not kidding. That's like Chino. There's dudes with their shirt off, and they're just repping.
Wow.
Because you have to, one, to stay ready, two, to blow some steam off.
Yeah.
Because it's just rough. Especially for the guys that never get to get out, their rubber band's still pulled tight. You still get mortared all the time. Like when you walk, imagine walking from, say, your sleeping area to chow, right?
Right.
And you walk, and you have to think every 2 or 3 steps, where do I go now if there's a mortar? And where do I go now? And where do I go now? Constantly thinking about where that 3-second sprint is going to take you.
Wow.
Yeah, and it doesn't come. But then all of a sudden you hear, incoming, and you go,
wow.
You dash towards whatever. And you also get hardened against that. Incoming. You're like, well, there's really nowhere to go.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to stay right here. Maybe you take a knee. Sometimes you hear it coming in, and you're like, that one's close, I get down. But a lot of times you just keep on walking, because the camps are huge. It might be a quarter mile away that the thing comes. But it always hits something,
Wow.
It doesn't necessarily hit a person, but it
Yeah.
hits something.
Yeah.
And so those things, yeah, it's heavy. It gets really heavy because you don't know. You could be lit. All right, so here's an example. They blew a chow hall up one time in the area where I was at, and I was walking right around that time, and all of a sudden, boom, this huge explosion goes off, and it's like musical chairs, right? I'm walking, I've got my machine gun with me, and I'm a civilian walking around, and I've got ice cream in a bowl, and it's just this huge tent area, and all of a sudden everybody goes woof, under the tables, and I'm like, oh, everybody's got a spot to go except for me because I've got this stupid ice cream.
Yeah.
And you don't know what it was. What it was an oven blew up, innocently in the back of the kitchen, but you didn't know that in the moment, and you don't know if the next thing is going to come ripping through this tent, a mortar of some kind. So yeah, you have these situations where you're in the chow hall and you just don't know what's going to happen.
I'm going to change the subject on you. I'm going to keep interviewing you because you're way more fascinating than me. We had this horrible shooting in Vegas, Mandalay Bay, a couple of weeks ago by a lunatic.
Yeah.
You mentioned having your rifle. Obviously, the NATO round is the 5.60 round. It's a 223 round.
Mm-hmm.
Remington. Is it Remington? It's a Win Mag or a Remington 223 round?
I think it's Remington.
It's Remington that made the original 223.
Yeah.
This is what this guy used over at Mandalay Bay. He was using a basic AR, which, for everyone who doesn't know, AR does not stand for automatic rifle.
Or assault rifle, even.
Do you know what it stands for?
It's actually I do, but I can't think of it.
It was
right
something. It was the original company who made it during the Korean War. It was like Armor Light.
It does not stand for assault.
Yeah, it's like Armor Light Rifle.
Yeah, right.
AR-15.
It's a nomenclature for a brand, basically.
Right. And then after the guy lost, the patent after so many years, and every other company makes that rifle. So what did you guys carry? So you had the AR. You don't have to tell me the brand that the military uses. It doesn't really matter. It's probably Springfield or one of those that they contract with.
Yeah, it depends.
So how many round clip did you guys have, and did you have extra clips on your body at all times?
This is a great question because one of the things that we lose sight, I answer a lot of questions on Core about these kind of things. So a basic load is going to be 7 30-round magazines, so 210 rounds. You're going to have that with you if you're carrying
all the time.
If you're outside the camp, usually if you're on the camp, you might have that. Some places you do, some places you don't.
Right.
Because you don't necessarily want everybody walking around armed. Everybody has ammunition. Not everybody's carrying a full load. But the norm is 210 rounds if you're carrying an AR of some kind, M4, M16, whatever that's going to be. I often carried a 9mm, so totally different ballgame. Let's put that. I was going
to ask about the backup weapon. All right, so your AR, that's all I want to know about you. So you got the 30-round clips.
So you got 210 rounds plus all your other gear that you have day to day on a patrol. You might carry another basic load on top of that, but it gets really heavy fast. Right. Every ounce really starts to count. And as you know, as someone who's trained bodies and played football, fatigue and wear and tear is a monster.
Absolutely.
So these aren't like we fire in a disciplined manner because those 210 rounds go really fast on full auto. Or even on burst.
That was going to be my next question. On burst, is it 1 round burst or 2 or 3 taps? What do you guys have on burst?
If it's burst, it's 3.
Okay. So I was going to ask, do you guys keep it on semi-auto where it's just 1, or is you have it on burst automatically? Because I'm guessing you guys aren't walking around with it on full auto because you're just – if someone drops one, it can just start going off.
It depends on which rifle you have. But most people are going to fire in a semi-automatic fashion.
Right.
Because you want to have controlled fields of fire, right? You have someone with you that has a full-on machine gun. That's their job.
Right.
So they're going to look at things, and then they're going to use walking in kind of fire on a target. So that's their job. Yeah. So it might be that you and a person are kind of off to the side, and you have to get back to the main group, and maybe one of you will stand up and go 3-round, then down, and then that person runs, and you might use it for that. Otherwise, your job is to control where you're shooting at, pick a singular target, identify it, and shoot. Now, that's doctrinally safe and everything.
Right.
Reality is war is chaos, and so people are shooting a lot.
Okay, which brings up now, I want to wrap this back to the guy at Mandalay Bay. Mm-hmm. He turned his semi-automatic rifles into full automatic.
Yeah.
Now we know he used a bump stock and this sort of thing, which makes it identical to just unloading 30-round clips.
Pretty much.
I'm guessing he had 30-round clips, and apparently he had a lot of them.
Yeah.
I'm having trouble figuring out how he killed almost 60 people from that distance. With a 22 round. Basically, you're shooting a projectile the size of a 22.
Yeah, right. It's just going faster.
Yeah, that thing is made for, as we both know, for close range.
Yeah.
At best.
Right.
It was made to be in the jungles. The 223 was made for the jungles. It wasn't made to shoot like an M1 Garand or anything.
Right. Yeah. No, it's not a 7.62.
How did this guy get these tiny projectiles? And you could say shooting fish in a barrel, but hell, we had cops here in L.A. who tried to shoot at two maids who were delivering newspapers that morning, thinking it was someone else. They put 180 rounds into a pickup truck, and both of those women survived.
Yeah. So one of the things is depend, and I don't know how his gun was configured, but an M16 with the longer barrel,
right?
That's effective on an area target up to 800 meters. So So you could be quite a ways away, and that crowd is an area target. You don't have to pick someone out, and if he's using a bump stock, he's not really worried about pinpointing. He's just
spraying.
He's
spraying the crowd. Right. But still, I mean, you would have to get hit a few times in the right spot with the 223 to kill someone at that distance.
Yeah. But, I mean, think about the Hollywood Bowl. If you had a position and you shot into that, nobody could get out very fast.
Yeah, I guess. He's got mobs of people.
Yeah. And that one round might go through two people, you know?
Yeah, you're right.
So
it just seems tough.
It is tough.
That he did that kind of damage.
Yeah. And then I don't know about the injuries and what they all pertain to. Like, did someone stomp on someone's face and break
I think
their
a
arm?
lot of that's not even come out yet, right?
Right, yeah, right.
You know, people who he injured 500. Well, yes, he was the cause
caused it,
right. But I don't think he hit 500.
I can't imagine that's
because
the
he
case.
only shot for 4 minutes, right?
Even if it's 10 minutes, I don't know, whatever it was.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know. But it is possible to kill people from that range, obviously, because the bullets will go that far. It's long, it's far, but you don't got to be all that accurate. You really are shooting at just a giant piece of real estate, and people. I mean, when people queue up, you just aim at the queue and just keep squeezing, or in this case, hold still, and it'll keep going for you. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It's terrible.
It's a horrible tragedy.
Yeah.
So, that went off into a dark spot.
Yeah.
So where are we going with this?
Well, we were talking about writing books and everything, and I was appreciating what it takes to get, some meathead football jock guy to write this book. I'm being playful when I say that. But you write this thing. So one of the things that John, Mark, and I, who are all co-hosts in the show, we believe in is creating. Go create something. And you get into the workshop and you make something happen. And you make another and you make another. It's like writing songs. The Beatles didn't write 100 great songs. They wrote 10,000 shitty songs with 100 great ones mixed in.
Right.
You have to do it. And you don't get to pick. And we've proven this over and over again. You talk to anybody who's had Grammy level or Oscar level success, you don't get to pick when that great thing happens. You just keep going, and it's like, oh, this is the one? So did you feel like this was kind of it with your book? Like, I'm going to pour my heart and soul into this, but you would pour your heart and soul into any endeavor like that?
The real answer is no.
Okay.
And I'll tell you, the guy sitting behind us, Andy Schreiber, will tell you, I moved out here in 1991. We met. He was working at Playboy at the time. We met. And it's one of those things where you meet a guy and he becomes your instant friend.
Sure, yeah.
And you don't know why that is. We just met and started laughing about something one day. Excuse me. I didn't know that many people out here, but this guy seemed interesting.
Yeah.
So when I ran into him again, I naturally gravitated to chat with him again because he was interesting. And he asked me at some point, what are you doing out here? And I said, I moved my training business from New Orleans. I'm coming out here because I saw, and I know this sounds like I'm Nostradamus or something, but I saw where child fitness was going to be an issue coming up. Kids were starting to, at that time, play the early days of Atari and video games and stuff. And I noticed my clients' kids not going out and playing football and baseball and basketball. And I noticed that they looked heavier than when I grew up.
Yeah.
You know, I was a young guy at that time. I was in my 20s. And, you know, I kept saying, I need to get into media and talk about child fitness. So that's why I moved out here. And started talking to Andy. Andy had some experience in media. He was working for Playboy, which is a big media company at the time. And, we had lunch one day, and I was telling him about my ideas. And he goes, it's great. He goes, why aren't you working on this more? And I said, well, one of my problems is I can't type up these proposals. I'm horrible at typing.
Right.
Great at writing, just I never learned to type. And he goes, well, I can help you with that. Whenever you need something typed up, just write it out and come over. So instead of writing it up, I got real lazy about that because I was working with clients all day. I would just show up at Playboy after his time was up. I'd call him and say, Andy, I'll be there at 6:30. Are you going? He goes, yeah, I could do it tonight or I can't.
Yeah.
And we would sit around and put together these proposals for different things. And you want to talk about one failure after another.
Right.
I'm the king of failure. We had so many things that came so close.
Right.
And it's amazing what knocks a good idea down. Usually it was me knocking it down. If you ever interview Andy on the show, he'll tell you this. Like I'd get a deal with a big like Guthy Rinker, which is like a big, at the time everything was about infomercials.
Sure.
You can make bazillions in infomercials. And they would go, yeah, we want to go with you and your idea and your product, and we want to use you in it. Here's the contract, sign this, and we can rock and roll. Well, the first problem is they want to give you 3 cents on the dollar.
Right.
So they're making 97 cents, and you're making 3 cents. Okay. I get that. They're taking a big money chance.
Right.
So, all right, I'll take that on an early deal to get rolling.
Right.
But then I would let my attorney – I didn't really have an attorney at the time. I would hire an attorney just to read the contract, a one-time deal.
Right.
And I would say, hey, and the attorney I would hire would say, I would not tell you to sign this. And I would say, okay, give me somewhere between 3 and 5 reasons. And after 10 reasons, I would go, literally things like, they would own your name into perpetuity.
Right.
They would, and I remember, people started laughing at Prince. Remember Prince, the singer, because the artist formerly known as Prince.
Yes.
He was just trying to get out of old contracts where they owned the term Prince.
Right.
He couldn't get out of his contracts. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yeah.
He did not own the name The Rock.
Right.
He had to call himself Dwayne Johnson. Nobody knew who that was.
Right. Yeah.
So he had to keep paying the guy who owned the term The Rock until he got famous enough to then say Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and then he was able to drop The Rock. And
right.
There's 1,000 versions of that.
Right.
Most people don't get as lucky as Prince and The Rock.
And have that problem,
Right.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to take a second out of the show and talk to you guys about our sponsor, WeFixYourScript.com. What I love about these guys is they're encouraging you, just like John, Mark, and I, to create something. If you think screenwriting is your thing, or if you've got a script that you're kind of stuck on, this is what you do. You don't got to buy anything. Just give these guys a call. Schedule a 15-minute consultation for free. It's WeFixYourScript.com. I highly encourage you guys to support these guys. Reach out to us. Reach out to them. Reach out to WeFixYourScript.com.
Can you imagine if I was doing something 25 years ago? Today, I would not be able to put my name on all the stuff I put my name on. But, and Andy would get frustrated sometimes because I would always tell him, if I hit, you hit, because I'm giving you a percentage of what I make.
Yeah.
And he would go, oh, man. And he would always go, yeah, I get it. And we continued on like that for 20-some-odd years. So
Jesus.
To answer your question, did I know I had something with the book? The answer is absolutely not, because after the book was completely written, I wrote it with my buddy Dean Laurie, who was a big writer, producer, had written a string of great books in Hollywood. Dean Laurie worked on Arrested Development and My Wife and Kids, and he did Major Payne, the movie. It's all Dean Laurie.
Yeah.
We wrote the book together, and then he went to William Morris, and they said, we love the book, but nobody knows who Vinnie is. I didn't exist on the internet.
That's right.
And they even said, we know who Vinnie is because he's been working with Hollywood, but the internet doesn't know who he is. And then I got a different agent from Levine Greenberg, one of the biggest literary agencies in the world. And I got this woman, Danielle Shvetkov, who's with them, and she's a big deal. And I didn't know that at the time, but she got a hold of my book through some means.
Yes.
And she contacted me and said, I want to represent this book.
Right.
And she took it out to the top, like Simon Schuster, Rodale, HarperCollins, Harper Wave, all these companies.
Yeah.
And two of them came back with deals and said, we'll give this guy a nice, solid upfront.
Yeah.
But we want him to write 2 books. He's written 2 books into one. We want to flesh it out and give him a 2-book deal. By the way, we hate his title. And by the way, we want him to change a lot of stuff in here because he's telling us that all of our other fitness people suck. That's what the book was about. It was like telling people what the problem is.
Yeah.
So we want him to calm all this down. So I said, well, there you have it. I can't go with the publisher. I can't take the publisher's money because once you take that money,
they control the message.
They can do what the fuck they want.
Yeah.
And you have zero say-so.
Right.
And once again, it was like being at Guthrie Ranker. It was like being at, this one and that one and the whole thing. It was the same deal all over again.
Oh, my goodness.
And Dean and I decided to take a chance because at the time, the podcast was getting – that was the other thing. At the beginning of this whole deal, the podcast was getting about 60,000 downloads a month. Between the time they told me I had 0 image and the time that, Simon & Schuster wanted my book, I somehow got 60,000 downloads a month. And literally, this was 6 years ago, when my agent would say he's got a podcast that gets big numbers, they said, what's a podcast?
What's a podcast? Yeah.
No idea.
Right.
No idea.
Right.
Right. By the time my book came out, I self-published it. We were getting 100,000 downloads a month.
Right.
And I'm getting 70% of every book that's selling at a regular price. We didn't make it like a $3 book.
Right.
We hired a proper editor. We had it on audio, audible.com. We did it for every Nook, Kindle, every format. We spent $15,000 formatting this thing.
Right.
To make it look like every other book. And we put it on Amazon, and we got to make 72 cents on every dollar versus if you went with Simon Schuster, it's 8 cents.
Right. Yeah.
So it was my book to fail on. Fortunately, people went out and started buying it from my group, from my podcast.
Yeah.
And as you know, Amazon does not care who you are.
Right.
It's a true meritocracy. They don't care race, color, creed. Amazon don't give a shit, as I like to say.
Right.
My book went right to the top on day one because everyone started buying it. Amazon immediately put it out there, hey, if you like this, you may like that.
Right.
If you like that, you may like this.
Yes.
And that kept it going.
This is the thing.
Forever.
Right.
I couldn't script what happened, you understand?
Yes. This is the thing. You don't control that breakout. You just get in the workshop and you do these things, and at some point, if it's going to happen, something out of your control or that you wouldn't have foreseen happens, and it takes off. Because when I answer questions all the time, how do I monetize? How do you build an audience? And the thing is at some point, you don't know. You have to go out and you have to learn what a good show is, what your voice is. Your show is completely different than my show. Right. Similar in that you guys are, I kind of was describing it to someone like it's kind of Howard Sternish. Not that you're trying to be a shock jock, but just it's conversational about your life. Oh, and by the way, you talk about some other things. But it's very, very conversational between you and whoever else is on the show, the co-host or whoever it's going to be, our show is a little more conversational about a specific topic. Totally different ways to do it. But both of those ways can work. So it's not that. It's not the quality, because there's some terrible podcasts out there that do great numbers. There's some kind of mix where you're constantly going at it. And you guys have hundreds and hundreds of episodes.
We have close to 1,000 episodes now. We average 850,000 downloads a month. Some months we get close right at 1 million. And people make that, they'll say, "Oh, it's Howard Stern-esque." We don't have strippers in the studio.
No, I don't mean that either. Yeah.
But they talk about the conversational style of it, and people actually will argue and go, "You did a whole episode and you didn't talk about fitness."
Yeah.
Okay, you can argue with me, but not many podcasts is bringing in 1 million downloads a month. So I'm sorry, I'm not going to change the format because one person decided they didn't like it. Right? And people say, you should do this and you should do that. And I'll say, well, how many downloads did you don't have a podcast.
You don't have a podcast, right.
So don't tell the guy who somehow is succeeding that he could do better or he's doing it wrong.
Just guessing, how many podcasts would you say before you went, I get this. I know what to do now.
Well, that we didn't, because when
I love this answer.
My original co-host, and she's still with me, Anna Vocino. By the way, someone else you should have on you. You want to talk about interesting? Yeah. And she's built a career out of this that you would not believe. Right. She's got a book, Eat Happy, that came out of this. And we could talk about Anna for an entire hour.
Yeah. Well, let's do it. Do another episode.
But the bottom line is Anna and I would sit. She had a studio. She still has a studio because she's a pretty famous voiceover person. Right. And she had equipment, so I went to her house. Sure. We didn't really know each other. We had mutual friends. And she would wake up and just bad breath on a Sunday morning, and we would pop out 3 of these. Right. And we would sit in her studio, both with bad breath, sleep in our eyes, and we would click the mics on, and we were pretty certain that no one would ever hear any of these shows. Right. We did entire episodes on we did an episode once on all the derogatory terms we could come up with for a vagina. Nice. And just sat there for 20 minutes going, gash, hatchet wound, crazy stuff. Right. Because we were certain that 0 people were listening because iTunes did not tell people. Right. So about 6 months in, this woman who at the time, ironically, worked for Adam Carolla, her name is in my phone. I can't remember her name now. She was looking for other business, and I guess she figured we were up high on the iTunes chart. And she called me and said, what kind of numbers do you get? And I said, I don't know. She goes, what do you mean you don't know? You have a popular podcast. You know. I went, how would I know? iTunes doesn't tell. She goes, you're not with Lipson or anyone? I went, no. She goes, so you don't have anyone hosting your show? I said, no, we just pop them up on iTunes. Yeah. She goes, this is the most extraordinary thing. She goes, you probably have. So the first time we checked, I think we had 40 or 50,000 downloads a month. Yeah. And Anna and I looked at each other and I said, Anna, we did a whole episode yelling at a mother because she fed her kid Nutella for breakfast. Yeah. And I went, oh, my God, we did a whole episode on vaginas. Yeah. And oh, my God, and now we're sitting there thinking people are actually listening to this.
Yes. Picking this.
Right. But we had to calm down because she goes, what do we do now? I said, we do nothing. Yeah. We do nothing different. We keep doing it like this.
Yes. Yeah. It's these are the things where you have to be, in the gym, you have to be in the workshop, you have to be always creating to make these things happen. And then the next thing you know, like I would just guess the 22-year-old you who's about to be done playing football never thought, I'm going to be a coffee merchant. I'm going to know a lot about coffee.
One day I will be the coffee king of the world. Yeah.
You can't pick where these things come from, but now, you know a ton about coffee.
Coffee has been a passion.
Sure.
I started drinking coffee, and I'm not making this part up, when I was 4.
Wow.
Fell in love with coffee. I was always fascinated with finding good coffees and the whole thing. But when you have a hit book, you don't say, I'm going to now do coffee.
Right.
That's not what happens.
Yeah, okay.
What did happen was I've taken vitamins my whole life. I've always believed in vitamins. And not apropos to anything else, in 2007, and we didn't tell this part of the story, I almost died of cancer. And I got to live. So after, you go through chemo and everything,
right?
I started looking and it's like, wait a minute, I'm the healthiest guy on the planet. I've always exercised. I've always eaten right. And I've always taken vitamins. So I started looking at everything. Like I started getting more sleep because I was a guy who did 4 hours a night.
Right.
So I started, anything that could cause cancer. And I started reading the labels. I eat fresh food, so there's not much labeling.
Yeah.
But I did take vitamins, and those things have labels.
Right.
And the first thing I saw was titanium dioxide. I kept seeing that over and over. So I did what everyone else does. I went to Google.
Yeah.
And I learned that titanium dioxide could cause cancer, colon cancer, even in nanoparticles.
Wow.
And then I started researching, why is it in my vitamins? And it's not in there for any good reason. They do it to whiten the vitamin so that then they can make it a color that you want it to look like. So I started this concept of, I wonder if anyone is putting out a vitamin that is just pure vitamins, no hanky-panky, no nothing, because there's silica, which is sand.
Sure, yeah.
There's magnesium stearate, which is horrible for you. I could go down the list of bad things, right? And I said, what if someone just created this? Because no one was making it.
Right.
And I started going down this path for a couple of months. And for the first time in my life, I had some money in my pocket from the book. The book made a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I can go out and buy a very expensive car, or I can throw it into a business.
Yeah.
Either way, if I buy a car, it's going to depreciate. It's going to be worth nothing in 5 years.
Yeah.
At least if I throw it down the hole of a business, maybe I have a chance of making money.
Pick a bad idea. Well, this one might turn into a good idea later.
The car is a bad idea no matter how you look at it.
Yeah.
So I realized that I was going down a rabbit hole that was way too deep for me.
Sure.
So I called up my old buddy, Andy Schreiber,
Yeah.
and I said, Andy, actually we have a joke. I called him and said, Lucy, I have an idea.
Right.
And he goes, oh, boy.
Yeah.
I said, we're going into the vitamin business. And he said 2 letters. He said, okay.
Yeah.
That was all he said, okay.
Yeah.
And I kind of went, shit. I was hoping he would talk me out of this. I really want to go buy a car.
Yeah.
So I went, okay, I guess I got to go in the vitamin business.
Right.
And we did. We did. And we created the pure, the multi-cap. We were told by, and if you have Andy on the show, he will tell you, 40 companies told us we were out of our mind, that it cannot be done. 40 different companies that we went to help us build this vitamin. And we were working with people over at Amgen. Amgen makes drugs and the whole thing. We had friends who were scientists who was helping us develop this ultra vitamin.
Right.
And every company that actually manufactures vitamins said it can't be done.
Can't be done.
Cannot.
Right.
So we just kept trying. We found a company that finally said, we found 2 companies actually, and one of them said, yeah, we'll take your money. Your mom and pop, we'll take your money. We won't see you again.
Yeah.
And Pure Vitamin Club has been around for 3 years and has done quite well.
That's fantastic. And again, part of this whole process of just, constantly creating something and like this should exist.
Right.
And it's supposed to be hard. One of my favorite stories, and it's attributed to Columbus, but, who knows? He's talking to guys, and they're like, yeah, big deal, whatever. You went out and you found the new world. So what? Anybody could have done that. And he's like, this is the difference between genius and not genius. You see this egg, the egg in the shell? I can make that egg stand up on end. And they're like, you can't do that. So he takes the egg, and he goes, and he breaks the bottom of it where the capsule is and stands it up. And they go, yeah, but you broke the egg. And he's like, takes a genius to show you how.
Yeah.
And then it's simple. So, you go out and you're like, yeah, these vitamins have things that at a minimum are bad for you. and it's
Yeah.
because you want it to be white. Who cares about that?
Yeah. Oh, and there was a lot of other problems.
Yeah.
By the way, thanks for calling me a genius in an indirect way. Yeah, there were a lot of things like, nobody wanted to take the magnesium stearate out because they use it as a flow agent, as an excipient.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Because time is money and you're slowing
Yeah.
the machinery down and all this stuff. And we had to build some proprietary machinery and give it to the factory.
Yeah.
That, our vitamins are so proprietary. We have 3 out right now, and we have a 4th one coming out in January, that we actually have deals, we have contracts with these companies that they can't white label our vitamins to anyone else that wants to sell them.
Right.
We have our attorneys there all the time, and we follow good manufacturing practices, and then we test that because we don't trust that. And we're constantly making sure that that's coming out. So when I called Andy and said, we're going into the coffee business, again, I really wanted to buy a sports car, man. I really wanted one now.
At some point,
and then again, he goes, okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I wanted a car. I really wanted a car. And so now we have Pure Coffee Club coming, and I'm actually, in some weird sort of way, more excited about Pure Coffee Club. I mean, you walked in here today, right?
Yeah.
And we have guys that work here. And by the way, we've grown so fast that we can't find, we need retail space. Not retail, we need like a warehouse or something.
Yeah, you need a bigger space,
Because we work out of this condo.
Right.
And also, I have my whole house over in Woodland Hills has been turned into an office.
Right.
So we have 2 houses that have become business addresses.
Sure.
And we're trying to now find real estate to where we can move it in, all in, because you see what's going on here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And when you walked in, I looked over at, we call all of the assistants Chip until they're not Chip anymore. Like Dylan over there was Chip 3.0, but then he worked out of Chip. Now Andy's sitting over there as Chip 4.0.
Yeah.
And they know exactly how to make the coffee in the Chemex to make a perfect cup every time and all this kind of stuff.
Well, this is what you do, though. I mean, when you have these ideas and it starts to work, you've hedged enough because you've seen what doesn't work.
Right.
Like, this is a great idea. This is going to work, and you can buy too much. Like, we just interviewed Tony Jeffries, who he's a fitness guy also. He used to be a fighter, Olympic fighter, caliber guy. And they started by doing boot camp in a park.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do boxing stuff because I'm a boxer. Not fighting each other, but just, using boxing as a workout thing. It's like, but if I would have tried to like buy a gym and buy all the, I never would have made it. I had to like force myself to go to the next level. So my buddies over at Everpedia, they have an apartment over by UCLA where they're building a better Wikipedia, where it's really, really great. But they can't go out and buy like a whole floor or rent out a whole floor of an office building. I mean, that would be nice, but that's not how you do it. You gather the people that make your product important and then expand it from there. So, yeah, I love that you guys are in 2 different houses.
Oh, look, and by the way, we could have taken a lot of money from Pure Vitamin Club and just went out and bought real retail space right away.
Sure.
And we didn't even think about it. We just went right into Pure Coffee Club and started, dumping money into that.
Sure.
And nobody has time to go out and look for real estate. So here we are, you know, and we call this HQ, or I call it HQ because this is where, Dylan's here and Andy's here every day, and other Andy, who we call Chip. And over at my house, it's just me, and now Serena is working with the company, and we're trying to find me a Chip for the house because I can't seem to work with anyone. Right. But we're trying that. We're trying to get me an assistant. I'm just difficult. Yeah. But then there's, I can ask, Andy, can you hold some figures up? How many people do we kind of employ that people?
Andy is thinking, and he's holding up.
Aside from what we have here, we have 5 other people that, are employed by the company that literally work off site, and then they're on the computer all day. And right before you walked in, they just got through with a Zoom conference. And so it's kind of neat that you can work with people all over. One of our guys is in Hawaii, right? Mike is in Hawaii. And, but we Zoom conference these guys in from all over the country. And they're all, they're all doing really well.
Yeah.
You know, they're all striving with this company. Dylan just came on full time. You know, he was like Chip is over there. You know, the first two Chips didn't work out very well.
That's why you call him Chip.
Chip 1 and Chip 2.
Yeah.
Whew. Chip 2, I love her to death because she's my daughter's friend from school. And she was just doing summer intern.
Right.
She was more interested in hiking than coming to work.
Right.
And wouldn't tell us that she was going hiking. You know, it's like, hey, Chip, where are you today? Oh, I'm hiking.
I'm hiking.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Yeah. We're coming up on an hour, so I don't want to take all of your time. But I want to make sure that we cover the bases on the things that you're excited about. So let me make sure I got this right. So we have the Pure Coffee Club.
Yeah.
We have the Pure Vitamin.
Yeah.
The book is still going crazy.
Yeah, the book is the book is like 4 years old.
It's crazy.
And it's shocking it's literally shocking to me because my accountant, you know, it sounds horrible for me to talk about money, but we were just finishing up on my 2016 taxes, and Andy and I were in New York working on Pure Coffee Club, and my accountant called me and says, you owe a lot more money for taxes this year. And I'm like, why? I pay for 2016. I go, why? He goes, the book, and he told me the number the book made in 2016.
Yeah.
And at that point, the book was 3.5 years
right.
old. And I went, really? And he goes, oh, yeah. And I went to the account where the money gets sent to.
Yeah.
And I went, have I just become that guy that had money coming to an account?
Yeah.
And just never knew it was there?
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And I know it makes me sound like a major douchebag.
Yeah.
But I was like, holy shit. Luckily, the money was there because I was able to pay the government their money. But you look at that and you go, how is this book still doing that well? But it keeps finding audience.
Well, I'll tell you why. Like, you know, since I've come back, I had to battle depression and PTSD and all these things. And normally I'm a pretty fit guy, but just, you know, me taking care of myself physically has been a higher priority than I've been able to bear. So I'm just now starting to go like, okay, now I need to get back to, you know, a slimmer, trimmer me. And I know not to eat Pop-Tarts. I know that's junk.
Yeah.
But when I look at breakfast cereal, I go, oh, yeah, I'll have some cereal for a snack. And I'm just now realizing, wait, I have to recategorize that as junk.
Right.
And it's just so new to a lot of, I mean, I'm in my mid-40s, almost 50 years old. I was brought up that cereal is good. You know, and even if you have a little sugar in your cereal, no big whoop. You know, like we didn't eat a lot of that kind of stuff in my house, but that was my go-to things. Like I've eaten a million peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, you know, and these are things that are undermining, at least at this age now, my ability to
It was undermining you the whole time.
Right.
Your body was just able to handle it when you were younger.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is why the book is still doing good, because there's so many of us where I'm just now putting the pieces together and going, I got to pick different things to eat.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't have a system built into place where like I can get up and I can have a bullet coffee in the morning or whatever it's going to be, and then move into some kind of other snack. And already my picture is getting more fuzzy. And then by the time dinner gets there, you know, my cravings are crazy. And, you know, I live on the road a lot, driving around doing things. And so your book is important because a guy like me who has good intentions, I just have a bad system. Yeah. And until I can change my system, doesn't matter how much I work out, I'm putting crap into my system. So that's why it does well, because it's still a hugely important message. And now that I'm looking, I'm seeing, like, if not my immediate friends, 2 or 3 layers away, those people are dropping dead. You know?
It's really upsetting.
Yeah.
I'm 55, and I've seen friends now die around me. And it didn't have to be that way.
Right.
You know, and it is sad because people think grains are heart healthy, and nothing could be further from the truth. And a little sugar is not a little sugar. A little sugar can screw up your hormones and make you want to eat more sugar, and so on and so forth. And look, I will say this, you know, plugging the book Fitness Confidential, it doesn't give you a prescription in the book.
Right.
It's a roundabout, this is my life, I've worked in this industry. We have more gyms than we have trainers more than ever. We have more health and fitness products. Everyone's got gyms and treadmills in their home. Everyone's got running shoes now. Mm-hmm. Yet we're more unfit than we've ever been in the history of the world. What happened?
Yeah.
So that's why Fitness Confidential, the book, does so well. But I'm going to tell your audience right now, if they don't want to spend the $10, $12 on the book, whatever books cost, I don't even know, you could go to VinnieTortorich.com. There's a PDF.
Right.
For free.
For free.
And by the way, this is not, hey, read these 2 pages and then you have to buy the rest.
Right.
It's a 22, 23-page tome of, if you follow this, A, B, C, and D, if you follow, I'm pointing to you right now, Pete.
Pete's got to do work.
If Pete goes home and just downloads this and follows it and sign up for it, because I send every 2 weeks, I send you an email going, hey, buddy, here's what we're doing. Here's how we're doing it.
Right.
Right? So
this is the thing.
Go do it. It's free.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to hit you down the road and go, hey, now you got to buy this and that.
Right.
You could do everything right there. That's my give back to everyone that, the hundreds of thousands who bought the book. Here's something for free for you.
Right.
Thank you for buying my book.
Right.
Thank you for helping me start a vitamin company. I'm giving you something for free.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And I love what you guys do on the podcast. I love that you're here hustling, grinding, creating vitamins, coffee, who knows what's next. I love all these things. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to you. My buddy Brian has his own power rowing studio out in Massachusetts. He rowed across the Atlantic Ocean, fastest American ever. Yeah, a monster. He's as big as Michael Strahan, but that's just how he is. Like, he's just built this way. He's a massive man, and he'll tell you, he's like, hey, I can teach you how to row all day long, and you'll feel better about yourself, but I can't make you skinnier. I can't make you do that.
Exercise does not make you thin. You can't exercise a bad diet. You cannot run a bad diet.
You can't.
By the way, I'm going to call him my brother-in-law because I've been with Serena forever, and he's been with Serena's sister forever, but we're not legally married. He's an actor in England. Serena and all of her family, they're all actors. Sure. And he was here for the wedding of another actor about 4 years ago. And he's pretty famous in England, in theater, and also you see him on every sitcom and everything in England. And he says to me, he goes, I'm going to row across the Atlantic.
Nice.
And I said, you're going to do what? He goes, I'm going to row across the Atlantic. I said, Bert, I shook your hand a little while ago. And there's not one callus on your hands. When are you planning on training for this?
Yeah.
Because he told me he'd be doing it in 6 months.
Sure.
And he goes, in 6 months. When are you going to train for it? He goes, I'm going to start when I get home. I thought I was being punked.
Yeah.
6 months later, he rowed across the Atlantic.
Yep.
From England to some other place. It was 1,000 miles to 1,500 miles or something.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
But he's one of those guys. He's about our age. I think Bert is 50. I'm 55.
Sure.
He was 45 at the time. And he said, you know what? I'm going to do this. And then just put his mind to it.
Yeah.
And did it.
It's doable. Brian said at the time it was one of the hardest things he's ever done in his life. But yeah, you go from about the Canary Islands to about Barbados. Maybe a little longer if you want to go, but that's plenty.
Yeah.
And some days you row all day long and you go nowhere because the ocean says so.
Yeah.
Other days you get to go really fast, and it's just one of those things where you can't look at the whole picture. You can't look at the elephant. You just got to grab that oar, do your shift, go get some sleep, eat what you're going to eat, and then get back to work on the next one.
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
It really is. Out of all the, I've done a lot of it, and it's written about in my book. I've been an ultra guy my whole life, mostly on bikes and the whole thing. And, but whenever I see the guys crossing the Pacific or the Atlantic, I marvel at that.
Yeah. Chris Burditch did the stand-up paddleboard thing across.
I know.
And he blogged it along the way, and he's like, you could tell he was really suffering, but at some point you're doing it. You have to just, like, you're not going to quit now,
Right.
As long as it's safe, you're like, this is horrible, and I'm going to keep going. And you do, and then you get there, and then the yoke is taken off your back, and you've done it.
Yeah, it's really weird. I'm doing next spring, and I'm sponsoring it through Pure Vitamin Club and Pure Coffee Club.
Yeah.
I haven't done an ultra event in several years now because I started kicking off all these companies.
Right.
And I do Adam Carolla's show.
Right.
Twice a month. And Adam just asked me in the studio, like in the middle of a show, he goes, when are you going to do another? You haven't done an event in a while.
Yeah.
And I went, because I'd been thinking about doing the bayou that went in front of my house. It's 100 miles long. It's the longest bayou in the world. It goes from my hometown to the Gulf of Mexico. And I said, I've been thinking about that. I'm going to take a kayak and I'm going to do a nonstop 100 miles down the bayou. Just, paddle day and night and then to the next day until I get there. And then after the show, I got in my car and drove away, and I went, I need to get a kayak because I need to start training. Yeah. But it wasn't until I said that, because he's got 1 million people a day that listens to his show.
At least, yeah, it's huge.
And I went, I just told 1 million people I'm going to do this.
Right.
And a guy got in contact with me a few days later, a fan, Dave Dolak, and he goes, hey, man, I'm going to build you an in-home paddle device.
Nice.
He did. He sent it from the East Coast to me.
Yeah.
It's made from an old Nordic ski machine.
Oh.
And I've been on that thing paddling every day. Tonight I'll be on it paddling away.
Yeah.
I still don't have a boat.
Well, whatever.
I will get a boat.
They keep making
a company will give me a boat.
Yeah.
And if they don't give me a boat, I will buy a boat.
From Costco or whatever.
Yeah, I'll get a boat. I'm not worried about a boat. I could go on Craigslist and get a really nice boat if someone won't give me a boat. It would be in their best interest to give me a boat, because then their brand would be all over my website and all over Carolla Digital and everywhere. So it would be in their best interest to hand me a boat.
Yes.
Because at the end of it, I'm going to auction it off, and any money I get, they can write it off, do whatever the hell they want. I'll just get rid of the boat. Because God only knows, I don't have room for a kayak in my house.
Yeah. Oh, man, that's incredible. I need to do something along those lines. So let me button it up here. One thank you to Bob Kinnison, who put us together.
Yeah,
because he's been helping me out, kind of guiding me as I transition from being a guy that gets shot at to a guy that gets paid, and that's, I appreciate his time. I already know that we're going to have to do more of these, because I've got to talk to your partner, probably your wife, your co-author. Like the list of Rich Roll. We've been dying to talk to Rich.
Oh, Rich is a good guy.
Yeah, I would love to talk to Rich, just because why wouldn't you want to talk to him?
He's Rich and I have known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
He credits me in his book for teaching him how to properly ride a bicycle.
Nice.
To go long. That kind of thing. So, love Rich.
Yeah.
We don't live for, just contact me.
Sure.
And I'll get you in touch with him.
That's great. Yeah, we'd love to have
Serena
him
is, very few people. People are scared because they go, oh, she's a big time deal and the whole thing. She's a great interview.
This is the thing that I've realized is, one, I'm not getting shot at. So asking people if they want to come talk about themselves, I don't care. And if they ignore me, they already were ignoring me. Like, they didn't know. So who cares? So I reach out to people all the time, and because I know they've got a fascinating story, and it's never a 1 hour thing. It's always, you always have to have people come back, because your story is too rich to even touch in 50 minutes, 60 minutes. There's no way. So, I'm looking forward to getting a chance to get in front of you again and support what you guys do, because I love it. I actually have the PDF downloaded. I had to publish a show today and prep for you, so I didn't get a chance to go through it. But it's part of what I'm doing this quarter and next, is just trying to streamline what I eat.
Start doing it, and then maybe bring me back later on when you get into it, start losing a little weight, feeling better, and we could talk about it after you're into it a little bit.
No,
so
for sure.
You will know what to ask.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I need to change what I'm doing, because I don't want to have to pay the price and try to, unfuck my heart up or fix my kidneys later on. So let me just...
Chapter 4, Unfuck My Heart.
Unfuck my heart. All right, so let me make sure I hit the... okay, so it's Vinnie Tortorich on everything.
Yeah, Vinnie, Vinnie, Tortorich, T as in Tom, O-R-T again, O-R-I-C-H. VinnieTortorich.com for the PDF. Fitness Confidential is the podcast. The vitamin company is PureVitaminClub.com. Go there, see what we have going on there. Very soon, you can go sign up at PureCoffeeClub.com. Give us your name if you're interested in coffee. Some great stuff going on there. You can check me out on Facebook and everywhere else. Twitter, I'm always out there.
One quick question. I looked up like crazy. I couldn't figure out the origin of Tortorich. And is it like a Serbo-Croat kind of name that
people think it's Serbian or Croat? It's Tortorici from Sicily.
Sure, right.
Right next to Palermo.
Okay.
It's where my family came from. When they got here, they were trying to, I think, be more American. They didn't come through Ellis Island. They came through New Orleans.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they were trying to hide from the mafia.
Sure.
To be honest, a lot of poor people from Sicily were running from the mafia. So they decided to change the name all up and just take the I off and put an H.
Right.
You know. But yeah, it's 100% Italian on both sides.
Right. And what does it mean, like cannibal?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Tortorici would be a bunch of you, right? That's the plural form.
Yeah.
And so
a lot of cannibals. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of cannibals. Not eating sugar, not eating grains, though. All right. Hey, well, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being on the show.
Thank you for having me.